Hi everyone, it's Mel Kerr here. As many of you probably know, I write for Desktop Magazine here in Australia every month with articles about photography and also photography post-production. And I try as hard as I can to remember to put them up here in my journal here at Redbubble. Well, the latest one I wrote was about converting to black and white, and I thought rather than actually put the words up and the pictures, I might as well just record a video tutorial about it for those who are interested. We're putting together a whole lot of series of tutorials together for the PhotographyCampus.com, free plug. And so I thought, oh, what the heck, I might as well throw one up here. Now, it won't be the full course by any means because there's a limited period of time that you can run YouTube videos for, but, you know, it's a little bit of a chat and see if you enjoy it. I'm going to work on this photograph here that I took in Congo a couple of years ago, and it's just a shot of some of the patients at Heal Africa in front of the UNICEF tent. You'll see that there's a line here: imagine a financial crisis every day, put things into perspective, invest in humanity, the returns are priceless. That's actually a headline that I added to the image, so that wasn't actually on the UNICEF tent when I shot it, but it's on the image now and I can't find the original, so if you don't mind, I'll just work with this one. The disclaimer is that I'm working in Photoshop CS4, but what I'm going to teach you should be relevant at least to CS3 and probably earlier Photoshops as well, I hope. Okay, so when we talk about converting to black and white, there are a lot of ways that you can convert to black and white in a number of different programs: Adobe Lightroom, Adobe Photoshop, Photoshop Elements, and various other ones, iPhoto and the like. But there's really no wrong or right. I mean, everyone has their own type, and if you have a type of conversion that you're happy with, stick with it. This is just a slightly different one that you may not have considered. I'm going to show you just a couple of ways of converting. I'm going to start with the black and white adjustment tool. Now you can access, that was the sound of me hitting a wine glass. It's a bit of a dead giveaway, isn't it? You can access the black and white adjustment tool by going up to Layer, and then going to New Adjustment Layer, coming down to black and white here. Or if you're in CS4, I don't think you can do this in CS3, maybe you can. You have this adjustment panel here, so you can just click on the black and white adjustment here, and that's going to add a layer to it, just like that. But before we do that, I'll show you just a couple of quick little shortcuts which really can help you out. One that a lot of people don't know is to unlock this layer. You know, as you probably know, when you open up in Photoshop, your background layer is locked by default. You can either double click on that and unlock it like that way, but if you really want to be lazy like me, you just grab the lock here and drag it down to the trash. Haha! It's good, isn't it? Now I always do that, but I always like to keep a layer as is, so if everything just goes belly up in the end, I can always go back to the original layer. So I always do things on copies of layers. Now again, there are a number of different ways you can do that. You can go up to Layer, you can highlight the layer, go up to here and duplicate layer, or again you can be lazy like me and do a keyboard shortcut, which is Command J or Control J depending on whether you're on Mac or PC, and voila, it will duplicate the layer. I then turn that off so I can't touch it, or you can lock it so that you can't get to it and it will always be there. The first point is, when you convert to black and white, you don't really convert to black and white. What you're really doing is converting colors to tonality, contrast, and shades of luminosity. Luminosity meaning light. So black and white is in fact not just black and white, it's many, many, many shades of grey. Now, as I mentioned, a really wonderful way of converting to black and white in Photoshop is to use the black and white adjustment layer. Now, if you're not sure what an adjustment layer is, perhaps I can do a course on that some other time, but it just means that you make all the differences on a layer above your actual layer, so it's non-destructive editing. I'm going to do that by going down to here and choosing black and white adjustment layer. You can also do that by going up here, New Adjustment Layer, black and white. Okay, so we see that a black and white adjustment layer has come up here and it's affecting the layer below it, and lo and behold, the image has turned into black and white or grayscale or whatever you would like to call it, and it's affecting all the layers below it. Now that's a pretty good job. In fact, it's come up really nicely, and one of the reasons I chose this shot as an example is because I kind of instinctively thought it would look good in black and white. However, this quick conversion is just the beginning. If you head down here, you'll see a series of colours that represent the RGB and CMYK colour scales, and they represent the colours that were in the original shot. So where there was red, you can control the reds, where there was yellow and green and so on. And what I mean by that is, well, let's look at the original shot by turning off the eye icon. We'll see that there's a little bit of, well, there's quite a lot of blue, okay, in the UNICEF logo and this lady's skirt and this bucket and so on. So let's look at what happens. We'll turn the adjustment layer on again. When we move the blue slider, that starts to move the areas in the shot where blue is. So you can actually lift up the colours here or make them darker or whatever. Probably make them a little bit darker to provide contrast and provide a bit more depth over here. Red is always something that's in a shot, usually, certainly with Caucasians, there's a lot of red in our skin, and quite often with people with dark complexions as well. There's an overall red happening here, as you can see. I'm going to make that a little bit darker. And yellows, there's almost always yellow in a shot too. That actually, by lifting the yellow, it's going to actually make the contrast better. So you can have a lot of fun with that, which is good. But wait, there's more. Honest. Those wacky folks of Photoshop have given you an even more intuitive way to change the tones and luminosity. Remember, it's the light of the real colours that lie beneath the image. In CS4 at least, you'll see this little guy here, this little hand that looks like it's giving you a rude sign, but it's not giving you a rude sign. It's actually giving you a hands-on tool to change the luminosity of the shot. I'll show you what I mean. You click on it, oops, and highlight it, and then your cursor will turn into an eyedropper tool. Come over here to, part of the shot that you might want to change. Click down and look, it becomes the hand again, and then it works out what is underneath that hand, and what's underneath that hand is cyan. Watch this. Click it and the cyan highlights. So I start to move that and the cyan thing will move up and down and change the colours, which is quite cool, I reckon. It helps you if you can't remember exactly what the colour was. So let's go to this colour and click on it, and it's telling us that it's yellow. Of course, that's right, because it's actually brown, which has a lot of yellow in it. So look, we're going to move that up and down. Now it will do a global adjustment. It's going to change all the yellow in the shot, but it's actually quite a nifty little thing and can give you hours, tragically, of endless entertainment. Oh, and there's this thing too, which is a tint thing. If you click that, that's going to put in like this default sepia ye olde type tint, but you can change that too by double clicking on that and doing stuff like this. Whoa. Endless fun. And you also get these default filters as well. I mean, seriously, could it be any easier? But it's just too easy for us and we want to make it harder, so let's do that. I'm going to go back to, I don't know where I was, I think. Open, just like that. Okay, so let's do our little trick here of duplicating the layer with Command J, Control J on a PC. Now, I said I'd show you another way of converting to black and white, and just to prove I'm not a liar, I'm going to show you another way of converting to black and white, and that is by using the color channels, some area that you may not usually delve into, but here it is, just here. Now, just to confuse you even further, I'm just going to explain to you that color files, as we know, for a digital file usually in a camera are shot in RGB, and that means that there's a red channel, a blue channel and a green channel, but those channels are actually made up of grayscale images. Confused? Yeah. Let me show you. Channels. Here's the composite file of red, green and blue, but let's get rid of this. Oh, actually let's just look at the red file and look, it's actually made up of grayscale. Same with the green and same with the blue. And as I say, when they're combined, they make a colour image. So what's the point of knowing all this? Well, looking at the channels helps us work out which colours in our image contain the tonality, the contrast and the brightness, which are the good guys, and which channels in the image contain the artifacts and noise, which are the not so good guys. In other words, which channels contain the information we want to keep and which channels contain the information we want to get rid of.